So basically, we started out with a basic overview of what is SAD. Um, the goal of the club is to use positive peer pressure, role modeling, and other strategies to prevent students from making destructive decisions. SAD's mission is to provide students with the best prevention tools possible to deal with the issues of underage drinking, other drug use, impaired driving, and other destructive decisions.
Um, we were faced with the question of why we should bring SAD to the middle school, and our group tends to educate students on the effects of drug and alcohol abuse and other destructive decisions. And by students teaching it to other students, we believe that they'll get more of a positive reaction from it. Whereas if a teacher or a health teacher is saying it to students, then they're not going to get the same message, that they can't really relate as well.
So what does SAD do? Our approach is to deliver education and prevention messages to peers, which right now is just high school, but hopefully it'll become the middle school as well, through school and community-wide activities. Some effective activities that we do throughout the school year would be the Grim Reaper Day.
The Grim Reaper Day is, there's a statistic that every 30 minutes somebody in the world dies from a drunk driving accident. So we represent that by having a Grim Reaper, and they come around every 30 minutes and kill a student, but it's not like violent or anything. But the student wears a sign around their neck saying that they died at so-and-so time, and it basically, by not having that student around in the school, like, they're not allowed to talk for the rest of the day. And by not having that student in the school, it's a loss for the student body.
It's pretty eerie when they're just kind of sitting there, and they're very grim, to be punny, and it's a very eerie thing that they can't talk, and it would be weird. The idea is to show that what it would be like if they weren't there. Another event that we do is the SAD Volleyball Night, which is probably our most popular event. We hold it on a Friday night purposefully so that kids are at the high school in the gym playing volleyball rather than at a party or something, drinking or doing drugs. And it's very popular. Students and faculty are invited to play in the tournament. And we raise a lot of money for not only our club, but also the volleyball team gets half the proceeds for helping us set up the nets. And we get a good response from it every year, and the kids definitely enjoy it, and it's a good way to promote the message through like a fun activity.
Another activity that we run is the mock car crash, and we have it every 2 years. Last year we had one, the actual representation of it, and we basically represent what a drunk driving accident is like to the junior and senior classes, especially right before prom, and it was really effective last year. The reaction of having students in your own class in a drunk driving accident where a lot of them are killed, it's really just, everyone was so upset over it. And the other years we show the video of it, which is what we're going to do this year, to the junior and senior classes.
And the students that you wouldn't expect to care for such a message came up to me after and told me I did a good job, and that's when I knew that the event was really meaningful to the students, when you had certain kids who came up to me afterwards and specifically said, like, you did a good job. Another program that we hold is the Think Ahead program, which we it's a very personal event because we have someone who actually had a brain injury as a result of a drunk driving incident come to the school, and he and his mother presented to us how the accident occurred and what they remembered from it and how their lives were different because of it. And it was very different way to see, the actual effects of what a drunk driving accident can do.
And it may seem like most of these events would be focused towards high school students, and it couldn't be in the middle school, but realistically we do think that, like, especially the Think Ahead program, that could be implemented into the middle school, because
Volleyball night.
Yeah, and volleyball night, because those are more relatable to younger students.
So we just have some pictures depicting the various events. In the upper right, there is a representation of a similar mock car crash that we held, and it's really scary when it's kids in your own grade and they're firefighters who use the jaws of life to get them out. And we had a helicopter come in MetLife, and it was really moving to see how realistic it was. And the students who participated in the event, actually they did a great job of the acting, and it was very realistic. And it was a very moving event, and the picture I think does a good job of explaining it. In the bottom right, we have a Grim Reaper, which different high school has a similar Grim Reaper Day, and this just represents the Grim Reaper Day that we hold at our school. And then bottom left is a volleyball tournament to represent the SAD volleyball.
So we came up with some statistics from the SAD website, and it has to do with the club. So.
Yeah, about 41% of students have consumed alcohol by the 8th grade.
20% of 8th graders report having been drunk at least once in their life.
41% of 8th graders and 73% of 10th graders consider marijuana easily accessible.
15.5% of youths aged 12 to 17 indicated that they had been approached by someone selling drugs in the past month.
So the importance of these statistics is that it specifically targets middle school age kids, and it shows how the problems of drinking and doing drugs start before high school, and the club will hopefully lower the percentages that we're displaying here. And the citation, all of this information came from the sad.org website, and it does a good job of explaining obviously what the club does. And if there's any general questions, you can go to that for future reference. But right now, I'd like to open up to any questions you have.
Any questions? I have one, John. Will this be a high school teacher that will be advising?
No, it actually will be a middle school teacher.
Okay, and so the high school students will participate in running the club.
The idea is that the high school students will come to the middle school and work with them throughout this year to start their own program. So we're
Okay.
going to, in a sense, kind of mentor the middle school SAD program.
I think it's a great idea, given what we know about statistics of drug and alcohol usage, et cetera. I think it's a great idea, and I
But,
commend you for
yeah.
coming forward with it.
I actually think one of the statistics that we sometimes overlook is the use of tobacco and smoking, and it really does initiate at a younger age. And the earlier that we can start educating our middle school students about some of the decisions they're going to face in middle school and also going into high school, I think it's important. And having a peer tell you that, as opposed to an authority figure, can be very effective. And so I applaud you for bringing this forward to Mr. Bernard and other faculty, because this is a very important thing to do. And it also, you're showing an initiative that is so important to see in our school, modeling behaviors that are important throughout life and into development. So I really applaud you for coming here. Sometimes it's hard to talk to us because we're standing over here, but I really appreciate you making a great presentation to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one of our points is that the SAD name itself means a lot to like any organization. So by bringing it to the middle school, we start the club sooner, and then more kids can participate when they get into the high school age, and it means a lot to the continuation of participation throughout middle school and in the high school.
Any further questions?
I have a comment.
Mr. Bounce?
I heartily support what you're doing. I think it's wonderful, and we should start as early as possible and do more than we do. Obviously, it becomes a diminishing return at some point. But I at the same time that I'm saying that, I have one request for all future presentations, that you do it just black and white. Because it just sucks up all this ink.
No, I like it.
I'm
You
still
gave
living
it
with
away.
a couple of years ago when we were rationing
Paper.
ink
Ink and paper,
cartridges. And it's also easier to see
Right.
on the screen if you get the better contrast. But other than that, I'm wholeheartedly behind your program. And as those that have seen what I proposed for our sports program, and I feel that we should come down hard on this, and put full effort in it, and we just can't do enough. It's crazy to have kids lose their lives and damage others for drinking and driving and doing drugs.
So what I'd like to do here, just to set, we'll vote on this. We'll vote on the Washington trip. Unfortunately, we have 7:30. It's going to take about a half an hour. We have to fill a vacancy at the Northeast Vocational School District Board, and that was set for 7:30. So we can do one of two things, John. We can take the chapter of Junior State of America after that. There's three basically presentations by three candidates, and then we'll take a vote, or you can come back at our next meeting.
I think we'd probably like to do it tonight, Jonathan. You wanna stay? You wanna stay? We'd prefer to stay.
Okay, so it'll be about a half an hour after we.
Before you vote on this,
Yes.
could I just offer a comment? There are two things I want to say. First, Nick and Laura are both seniors, and for them to come to me with this idea in their senior year, when they really could have just, said, okay, we've done our time with SAD, but I think the fact that they wanted to then, in a sense, kind of continue the good work, continue the legacy of SAD by coming up with what I think is just a fantastic proposal, really speaks well of them as people and also the work that SAD is doing. The other point I would want to make is that I think if this proposal is approved tonight, I think it brings to the total 18 new clubs at the high school since I've been the principal in 2003. And the nice thing about them all, there may be one or two exceptions, they are all student generated. And I think that really speaks very, very well about
That's great.
the student body. It's their idea, it's their willingness to come forward and to do even more. So I just wanted to offer that point because I think this presentation as well as the other one you'll see tonight are both very, very special.
Thanks, and I commend you for bringing it forward. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve a middle school chapter of Students Against Destructive Decisions for a two-year trial. Motion by Mr. Bowers, do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by Ms. Ericetti. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous? And now,
Congratulations.
yes,
Thanks.
good luck.
Thank
And
you.
now, I'd like to entertain a motion, or if there are any more questions on the Washington trip before we entertain a motion to approve the 8th grade trip to Washington DC in June as proposed by Mr. Fauché.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, now, we'd like to invite the selectmen up, please, to the long table to our left here. Sorry there's no name tags. You would have had to bring your own.
What are you apologizing for?
No name tag. You would have had to bring your own name
Do you know-
tags.
do you know who you
Yeah, do you
are?
know who you are. That's
I
what
was
we
thinking of
do.
running for school committee. I've walked up here, it's like 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You live
Great.
close by.
Who's up next?
I'll volunteer to switch.
We just do a self-exchange there.
Okay, I'd like to, Kathy, if you wanna, I guess I can take the lead here.
We're gonna have, soda,
Refreshments?
cookies, refreshments.
Not allowed, no, not allowed, no
Not
soda,
allowed-
no
not allowed
cookies, not
library?
out in the school, no.
No fun.
No fun. I'd like to thank the selectmen for joining us tonight. We have a joint appointment to make for our representative to the Northeast Regional Vocational School District. I believe it's to fill out the remainder of, is it 2 years we're filling out this term? Okay.
November 6, 2012.
Okay, thanks. And so we have 3 candidates tonight, and I guess each candidate will be provided 5 minutes to 5 to 10 minutes to discuss their qualifications, why they think they would like to have this position. The committee will then be allowed to ask questions. We will hear from each candidate, and then after that, we will take a vote. The only question I have is, do we have any set order as to which candidates should?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Judith Diamond is at 7:30, Michael DeSanto is at 7:40, and James Haggerty is at 7:50.
Okay, so at this point, we'll call Judith Diamond up to present her case. Judith, thanks for coming.
Good evening.